an independent analysis of European defense capabilities and strategic policy.
For decades, the assumption that the German Bundeswehr would drive into battle aboard German-made armored platforms was an axiom of European defense industrial policy. The domestic dominance of conglomerates like Rheinmetall was not merely a matter of economics, it was a matter of national strategy. Yet, the recent decision by Berlin to procure up to 876 vehicles from the Common Armored Vehicle System program marks a profound fracture in this tradition. While the headline focuses on the sheer volume of the contract, valued at roughly 2 billion euros, the deeper strategic implication is quite different. It represents the victory of a specific Nordic military philosophy over the long-standing continental obsession with technological perfection. Finland and Sweden have, in effect, exported their concept of total defense to the heart of NATO. They have displaced the presumptive heir to the Fuchs legacy with a solution that prioritizes volume and maintainability over exquisite engineering. This shift is rooted in a necessary reassessment of what constitutes capability in a high-intensity conflict. The competing German proposal, the Fuchs Evolution, represented the pinnacle of the traditional procurement mindset. It offered superior individual specifications. It offered continuity with existing fleets. Yet, it suffered from the fatal flaws of high unit cost and complex manufacturing cycles. The lessons drawn from the attrition rates in Ukraine have forced a recalibration. A vehicle that is 10% more capable but takes 3 times as long to build and requires a specialized facility to repair is a liability in a war of exhaustion. The Patria 6x6, the platform at the core of this program, serves as the antithesis to this gold-plated approach. It is built around commercially available heavy vehicle components. This allows for repairs to be conducted in field conditions by conscript mechanics, rather than solely by contractor support teams. For the Swedish defense planner, this multinational success validates a difficult strategic pivot. Historically, Sweden maintained a fiercely independent capacity to produce every tier of military hardware, from fighter jets to submarines. However, the decision to join the Finnish-led program, rather than developing a domestic successor to the Galton or aging armored trucks, represents a maturation of industrial strategy. Stockholm has accepted that sovereignty does not necessarily mean indigenous design control. Instead, sovereignty is now defined by the security of supply. By utilizing a platform shared with Finland, Latvia, and now Germany, the Swedish armed forces gain access to a massive, distributed pool of spare parts. If a Swedish unit needs a transmission replacement in the field, it can theoretically cannibalize a wrecked German or Finnish vehicle. This creates a level of interoperability that paper alliances rarely achieve in practice. Crucially, the industrial work-share arrangements reveal that Sweden is far from a passive client in this relationship. While the hull and design authority reside in Finland, the motive power is Swedish. The reliance on the Scania DC-09 engine for the entire multinational fleet ensures that Swedish industry remains a critical node in the NATO logistics chain. Every vehicle ordered by Berlin or Riga directly supports the heavy industry base in Södertälje. This creates a symbiotic relationship. Finland provides the hull and system integration, while Sweden provides the propulsion and high-grade steel. It is a model of sub-regional integration that creates a competitive bloc capable of challenging the Franco-German defense axis. There is, however, a necessary scrutiny required regarding the trade-offs inherent in the 6x6 platform. The vehicle is effectively a battlefield taxi rather than a fighting vehicle. Its protection levels generally adhere to STANAG Level 2. While this is sufficient to stop small arms fire and artillery fragments, it offers limited survivability against dedicated anti-tank munitions or heavy machine gun fire compared to heavier, more expensive 8x8 alternatives like the Boxer. The analytical bet being made here is that mobility in difficult terrain, specifically the snow and marshland common to the Nordic frontier, serves as a better form of armor than heavy plating, which restricts movement to main roads. This trade-off implies a doctrinal acceptance that losses will occur. The logic suggests that it is better to have a fully motorized force in adequately protected vehicles than a partially motorized force where elite units have impregnable carriers and the rest are left in soft-skinned trucks. The Nordic calculation prioritizes the operational mobility of the entire reserve force. By keeping the unit cost low, Finland and Sweden can afford to equip territorial units that would otherwise be relegated to light infantry roles. This mass motorization is essential for the dispersion tactics required to survive modern surveillance and precision strike complexes. The entry of Germany into this program does introduce political and industrial risks that cannot be ignored. Berlin rarely participates in defense programs without demanding a significant restructuring of production lines to favor its domestic workforce. While the initial agreement respects the leadership of Patria, the sheer size of the German order gives the Bundestag leverage. They could demand design changes or local production variants that might dilute the commonality that makes the program successful. There is a historical pattern of multinational projects becoming bloated as each partner adds specific national requirements. The challenge for Helsinki and Stockholm will be to hold the line on configuration control, resisting the urge to turn a rugged, simple troop carrier into a complex infantry fighting vehicle. Furthermore, the export success of this platform signals a fragmentation of the European market. The vision of a consolidated European defense industry, often championed by Paris and Brussels, usually implies consolidation around French and German champions. The ascent of the Nordic bloc creates a third pole of influence. It suggests that smaller nations with focused industrial bases can outmaneuver the larger powers by offering solutions that are faster to deliver and more attuned to the economic realities of modern defense budgets. The Patria 6x6 is not just a transport vehicle. It is a physical manifestation of the argument that the center of gravity for land warfare thinking in Europe is shifting north. Ultimately, the widespread adoption of this platform creates a de facto standard for the northern flank of NATO. It helps solve the logistical nightmare of diverse fleets that has plagued alliance operations for decades. The strategic value lies not in the specifications of a single vehicle, but in the creation of a seamless logistical zone stretching from the Arctic Circle to the Baltic coast. For the first time, the armies of the region will not just be fighting alongside each other. They will be fighting with the same machine, repaired with the same tools, and fueled by the same supply lines. This integration, driven by pragmatic necessity rather than political idealism, constitutes the true strength of the new Nordic defense posture.